So I was sitting with the young batch of Athenanians, and I was just sharing some anecdotes with them about the history of the organization, and I realized that some of these things, which were pure simple events to us, sounded like very interesting stories to them. And that made us realize that this journey that we've traveled, there are a few things that we have done organically, which are very interesting episodes in the evolution of the organization. And with this podcast, we wanted to share some of these stories with you, hopefully to inspire people who want to innovate something in their sectors, and also to probably have reminiscences of interesting developments which happened with the organization in this journey. So, just to give you a background, I have my entire career vested in executive search, which is about 2 decades now. And when I ventured into an entrepreneurship journey with Athena, I realized that one of the big push factor for me was the lack of innovation in our industry. I just felt that I was doing very, very straightjacket, vanilla things, which didn't really inspire me to leverage my creativity to any extent. And that's when I was setting up Athena, I realized that one of the big factors I'll always want to be focused on is some bit of innovation, some bit of solving relevant contextual problems which are prevalent in the market. And we started that journey by going to businesses and actually asking them to elaborate on their problem statement rather than offering them the services that we had some capabilities on. And this led to some very interesting evolutions in the kind of services that Athena offered in due course of time. I would sort of probably talk about a little bit in terms of the time frame that this all was happening. This was late 2009, early 2010, and this is the time when the whole startup ecosystem was picking up in India. We had the likes of the Flipkarts and all just about to emerge in the market, and these organizations, we felt nobody was kind of focusing in terms of providing solutions for them because it was an unproven market in India, and most of search industry was focused on working with typically Fortune 500 multi-billion dollar enterprises. And we felt that there was an opportunity to kind of look at this emerging sector and solve some problems which would be very unique to them. And we started interacting with a lot of startups. And just for reference, startups was not and you can say an attractive term back in the day. And the problem statements were also pretty complex as compared to what we see in the market today. And I remember that one of the services that we started focusing was to kind of do a BOT model for some of these startups which didn't have any leadership capabilities, which were just a few co-founders trying to create or sort of trying to prove themselves in the market. And this takes me to a very interesting story. I met with this co-founders. These were guys who had come out of IIT Kanpur, same batch, were trying to do something very interesting. They probably took their first attempt of making a SaaS company, and I'm talking about again a very early time of 2010. And I kind of met them at a phase when they were just angel funded. They didn't have any institutional funding back at that time, and they had very ambitious plans of growing this organization. And we started brainstorming a lot with these people, helping them build some models and matrices in terms of how they could attract talent into a startup when the market was not open to the idea of taking those kind of risks. So it was a very intense exercise. I still remember spending late night hours with the founders, figuring out whether we should look at doing some bit of a psychometric testing with some of these candidates, or we should look at doing some more I'll say progressive new age assessment technologies. And it sort of came to a stage where we realized that they would only have the bandwidth to engage with us and hire talent if they go to their Series A funding. And we kind of worked on a plan that if they eventually get the funding, we will partner with them to kind of build the entire leadership team for them. And that day came, they were funded by one of the largest VC funds in India. And we got a mandate to build a leadership team of 16 odd individuals for them. So these were all functional heads, all the functions that didn't even exist before that point in time, setting them up. And it was a very, very aggressive mandate because we had to do this build in a period of 3 to 4 months. The talent pool was very limited. It had to be evangelized with the idea of coming and joining a startup back then, and led to a very crunch exercise, working very, very closely with the founders. But that was a very successful engagement. We did onboard about 16 such individuals for them in a period of 4 months, which took on all the functional head roles for them. And the organization actually went and did really well in the market. They were able to establish themselves, went from a pre-Series A to a Series E organization. And we did continue to partner with them in all phases of their growth, not only at the initial juncture, but post their Series C, post their Series D, helping them build another evolved level of leadership every single time they wanted to kind of do that sort of hiring. And I think we would look at something like this very prevalent in the market today, because startup has become a very attractive ecosystem. There's a lot of ease of raising funds, hiring people, the openness of talent to work with startups and taking risks is much higher. But doing this exercise more than a decade back, was very challenging. And one of the great experiences that we had working with this client back then. And I think we did a lot of similar engagements after that, which were equally exciting. And at this point, I'll like to call in my colleague Jigyasa, maybe share her experience of working in similar situations.
Thank you, Bhavishya. Thank you for giving us a background about our journey in executive search and how this journey has been so far for us. So my association with Athena is for almost 13 years now, and I was very young at that point in time when I started working with this company, which is an AI-based company. I still remember, when we met the founder coming with a lot of aspirations, great vision about this product, and his organization, of course, looking at a very larger picture to take this company globally, yet very nervous about how things are going to be for him here and whether the product is going to be acceptable or not. So many questions, so many challenges, and that's how he partnered with us to address multiple problem statements. And one of the most critical and crucial one for them was executive search, of course. That's when he wanted to hire the best talent in the market and from the best of the organizations, and that's when he met us and he was talking about how we have to go about it, how to gain that trust in people, in candidates. We act as an advisor. We just don't talk about just the hiring part. We also do a lot of advising on different
creating
aspects.
The pitch book for them.
Yeah, creating a pitch book for them, talking about different aspects, expansion, global expansion, operationally, how they need to expand themselves, a lot of other things. So that's when we started working on these problem statements and started talking to the candidates on how the company is positioned in India and how they see themselves going forward. So we were able to build that trust amongst the candidates. We were able to sell the product. We were able to show a larger picture to the people to have that belief in the company. Athena did a great job in terms of doing multiple closures for them at leadership level. And some of the people are still with them. They've traveled that journey with the company. So if they've seen the growth, even the people have seen that growth. It's been 10 years. It's more than a decade that we have that relationship with the company, and we are still working with them. We have still partnered with them recently when they were witnessing a growth, global expansion. And that's when, they again spoke to us about how do we expand and how do we, go abroad to other locations. And that's when, it became very important for us to be a part of that phase as well. So we did some hiring, some leadership hiring in US. We did some leadership hiring like in other locations. And now our people are representing their international offices, and we are very proud of that. They're going to go for an IPO in a year or so, and Athena would be, we would be excited to be a part of that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be very exciting to kind of see a startup from a pre-Series A to an IPO. And I think we've already seen that journey with a couple of other clients, that media firm that we work with. Again, I think they were Series A when we started working with them, and I think they had their IPO about 3 years back, which is a blockbuster IPO for them. So it's extremely gratifying that what we started about a decade back in terms of looking at an ecosystem which was predominantly neglected by executive search industry, and we were able to kind of validate that investment of efforts in terms of taking some of these clients. I wouldn't say taking some of these clients, but rather assisting some of these clients in that journey of proving the business, building the business, growing the business, and going to IPO way. So a phenomenal experience of, changing some gears in executive search and delivering on this practice with some of these exciting clients.
Yeah.